Hey, everybody. Welcome to ToughLossBro podcast. This is our pilot episode, so it's going to be pretty experimental, but we're hoping to have some fun today. And we're going to get kickstarted pretty quickly. We're just going to jump right into it. We're going to talk about this current series that's going on with the Mets and the Phillies. As you can see, we have Mets and Phillies fans here. This podcast mainly will be about football and baseball. Those are our main two sports that we enjoy talking about. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. Phillies Mets series. I'll start with you, Jeff, since I feel like with what happened with the Phillies was firing their manager, and then changing of the guard seemed to give them that boost. And at the same time, the Mets were struggling and they didn't go to that manager change. So this is the second series the Mets and Phillies have played. I believe the Phillies swept the Mets at first, but how do you feel? Was it 2-1? I don't
2-1.
remember, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, it was 2-1.
Okay, so 2-1 that first series, and the Mets are looking to even it. The season series so far. How did you feel coming into the series? Did you feel like the Mets were going to get crushed, and the Phillies were just going to dominate? It was going to be easy. How did you feel about it?
So we're talking about the first series, right?
No, let's start with. We could talk about
We're
this
talking about this
series,
series.
the current series. Yeah, for sure.
So I I actually didn't know what to expect coming into the series because we got our manager bump. We've been 20-9 since Mattingly took over. So I didn't really want to see the managers change for the Mets coming into the series because I don't want to see the manager bump get hit. We don't want I don't want to get hit with that right away. Like we feel good when we play the Mets. Well, usually we don't feel good when we play the Mets, but this year the first series felt good. I felt a little good coming into the series, just nervous about whoever was going to be at the helm because we all know what happens when we switch managers in baseball.
No.
But yeah, Steve, what do you got?
Uh, I am very strong on the opinion that the Mets waited way too long to fire Mendoza. I don't think that Mendoza's the fall guy. Well, he's the fall guy, but I don't think that it was his issue. I'm a big proponent of David Stearns has no idea what he's doing, and so it's just been all bad. And so I think that if they what was it April 28th, I think the Phillies fired their
Yeah,
manager.
April 28th.
The Mets probably should have done the same thing a day later because now it's over. It doesn't matter anymore. Like, the season's over. You could see the team has quit. They just don't care. Like they have like a real issue with like showing up and caring about playing hard every day. Like it just looks like a very bad sort of like 2005, 2004 Mets team or a lot of other different Mets teams.
Do you
They
remember the early 90s Mets teams, like 92,
no,
93?
no,
Oof.
thank
Well, I think
thank
that I think what you're I think I as a Mets fan as well, I do believe that what you I agree with everything you said. I just look at it from a different perspective, only in that I think of it as like it didn't matter if Mendoza got fired at that point. 12 game losing streak, like like everything at that time was like, oh, no one's ever made the playoffs with a 12 game losing streak or even a 10 game losing streak. I think was a thing too. That
Well,
no one
that
had
doesn't
ever
mean
done it, no
anything.
matter what. It kind of does because if you look at the Mets record, in my opinion, it's been hampered down by that 12 game losing streak, and now the 7 game losing streak recently has obviously hampered it down. And coming into this series, I expected the Mets just to get walloped. To be honest with you, I thought the Phillies had two of their best pitchers pitching, and the Mets don't. With the inconsistency of the Mets offense, and that's really was the downfall of the Mets anyway, was inconsistency of offense and inconsistency, particularly recently with with the starting rotation. But again, injuries with the starting rotation is where it all fell down last year, and it all fell down instead of June of this year. It happened earlier this year. Starting pitching
Well,
went down quicker.
aside, like, how much do you think the Juan Soto and Frankie little qual has to do with this? Do you think like the two of the guys, like these are supposed to be the leaders of the team? I mean, Soto paying 700 million probably should be the leader of the team. He probably should be coming in and being God's gift to fucking baseball and helping this team excel to the next level. But when you can't get along with your counterpart, I feel like there's got to be something to do with that. Like you can
I
even
think
reference AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts and that being the downfall of that season, the Eagles season last year, and kind of have similar comparisons to that. But
what do you
I don't
think,
know.
Steve?
Yeah, what do you think?
I'll jump in on that, but because I have an opinion for sure.
I think it's pretty obvious that there's no chemistry. There's just no chemistry whatsoever. I don't want to blame Lindor, but like he had this issue with McNeil too, right? And so I'm a little curious of, is Lindor the best person to have on the Mets long term? I know he has the contract. I thought it was a bad contract. And they doubled down. They actually like literally doubled down and paid Soto twice as much. And I don't think he's a leader either. And so I just don't think that they have any chemistry. I don't think that they have any leadership in their team. The owner, I love that he spends money, but because we were, you know, a team that was ripped off by Bernie Madoff, and so like we didn't have any money to spend years and years and years ago, and so we always complained about that. But now we have the guy that spends the money, but it's like, he's. I'm glad he's off Twitter right now. Yeah, like there's just nothing going right with the Mets whatsoever. It's actually
I
kind of embarrassing.
Kind of
it
tracks.
is I'll jump in on the embarrassing part because that's what it is to me. It's like embarrassing. To have a payroll that big. Um, I heard this opinion. This is not my opinion. I believe Tiki Barber, of all people, for me to be quoting, but Tiki Barber mentioned this, and I just got a clip of it the other day, and he said that I believe he used the word castrated, that the Mets castrated Lindor when they came out and said he's not like we don't have a captain. The Mets don't have a captain, and that he's elated to and then or built on that saying with that you saw a different Lindor. The locker room changes, like now you're bringing in Soto, as Jeff said, $700+ million, should be the leader, but at the same time it was Lindor's clubhouse, absolutely. And then when they signed Soto, I think that coming out and saying, and I remember when they came out and said like he's not our captain, and it felt like David Wright was going to come out last year and like kind of pass that torch along, and then that all just kind of died. Like when I think there was a big thing going on, it seemed like during that retirement number ceremony that was what was going to happen. It's like a passing of the torch, and you felt that energy and you felt good. And then what happened? The Mets retired his jersey, and there was no changing of the guard, so to speak, and they've literally been crap ever since. Like like no joke. Since June 13th of last year, they've been crap. It's just been one bad thing after another with them, and it's frustrating and embarrassing. But with that being said, I think that we can move on from the Mets and Phillies for right now. I think
Yeah,
that
kind of covered it.
we went through it. I think that we touched upon talking about the manager stuff. I think that was cool to kind of get into a little bit too. This because it is literally like you can look at the two teams and see the difference between the two of them in that sense. Because it's the same time they were going through the same thing, and they've gone in complete opposite directions.
Yeah, and the Phillies have
So
chemistry. The Phillies have chemistry. To just piggyback off Steve's point about no chemistry in the Mets locker room, the Phillies have that. Those guys are like
yeah,
best friends, all of them, and they've been together for what 5 years now. The core, and like it shows. Harper and Schwarber, only two guys with 50 RBIs in the NL right now, and they're just both just fucking raking right now. And when you have your two biggest stars doing that, it just kind of expands out to everybody else, and they're just doing it all right now, right now. Like I'm
right now.
skeptically, yeah, I'm optimistic, but I know how the Phillies are in October, so we'll see what happens.
Let's jump into our next little topic of overrated, underrated. Um, I'm not exactly sure what we would want to jump into with overrated, underrated. So I think we could start with since it is baseball season, or we can actually talk about the World Cup. I think since it'll coincide with current events as well. So overrated, underrated, a World Cup, exciting or not exciting?
This is a good one. I like this topic. Yeah. I'll just
Did
jump in
you?
since I started
Yeah, go
talking.
ahead. Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you?
I love it. I think it's not overrated, underrated. I think it's correctly rated. I think having it in the United States is also awesome. And I know this is crazy and just like dumb, arrogant American talking right here, but I think it should be in the United States like every other time. I mean, we're the only country that is divided into all these different states with all these different types of cultures and everything that you can enjoy. Like the South is so much different than the Northeast, or the West is so much different than the Southeast or whatever, or the Midwestern or wherever. And I think it's awesome seeing all these people from other countries coming in and just experiencing like Waffle House. Like there's nothing like that in another country where people like fight each other over the counter, and it's like kind of allowed. I just think it's awesome. And then just the camaraderie you get with your fellow countrymen, it kind of brings us together a little bit, and being able to root for the same team. So I'm definitely on the correctly rated, or even underrated. I would even go to say, because despite not loving soccer, I do love this World Cup experience.
What do you think, Steve? Are you on the bandwagon of the World Cup, or are you just kind of indifferent about
Uh,
it?
unpopular opinion. I don't really care like whatsoever about it. I think what soccer probably could do is what hockey did a few years ago. And so they made rule changes that helped scoring. Because sometimes, like, again, I only watch soccer probably during World Cup, or like if I have a bet on a game or something like that. It's very much like, it's just like watching people do cardio. So like, there's not enough action for like us dumb Americans to have as much interest, at least for myself. Like if it's gonna be, I've been betting this, and so like there's draws. Like if there's 4 games, 2 draws every day. And so like I don't even like really like that. Like can we just get like an outcome? And so it's just very much like just weird cardio, and just it doesn't, when I watch sports, I want an outcome, and I also
Yeah.
want to
Yep.
see like something that like is going to happen and make sense. And soccer just kind of like, it just isn't that for me. But I also never played it when I was little. Like I played baseball when I was little. So like I have a different opinion on that kind of stuff. And so I think it's really cool that it's in the U.S., it's in Canada. Most of the games, I think, or all of them, are in North America. Um, I think that's really cool, and that helps us like engage. Because if it was in Italy, it would be at 4 a.m. and nobody in the U.S. would care.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel a little bit. I feel both ways, actually, to be honest, because I like the camaraderie of the countries. I like to see. I also like to see how people are coming here, as Jeff said, and like experiencing like a Waffle House, or even like, because it's funny to me because all the foods that they eat in their countries are good for them, because in here in America they're eating the crappy food, and they're like, this is great. Yeah, because we've made it that way. We've put stuff in it to make it that way. So to me it's so funny. They're like, it's great. And I'm just thinking to myself how awful the food is for them. And they should go back to their countries just to eat their own food, just because it's better for them. But I love the fact that people are coming here and experiencing America and seeing the people. And I think,
Yeah.
because I think sports for me has always been like a unifying thing. I think I'm big on athletics because I think that teamwork and working with each other is a big part of it. It's more than just the outcome of a game. It's that camaraderie that you build, and I think what's cool about soccer, in that sense, is like the cardio. Like you're talking about the cardio, I do find it's a little boring, and when it comes to that, like, because there is no action. We're Americans, we want action, and that's what we need for excitement. But I do like the fact that like the togetherness of these teams, like they are, for whenever these countries are coming together and it's for their country, they're playing with the pride that they play with, and alongside one another, and you could see it if when they score, even if they don't score, if they do get a draw against like a country that they should have lost to, that stuff to me is what makes it so amazing. So I would sit on the fact that it's a little, I would lean on overrated, because I'm not a huge fan of soccer. But I can be on the underrated side as well because I do like that camaraderie and the teamwork. I think that's really cool to see these countries come together and come here for the first time, like people that just are afraid to come here because of what's going on. So, but yeah, I think soccer's kind of like not my sport, but I can get into a final.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I get it there because I'm with Steve too, and I like an outcome. So it's more about the experience of the other countries and us coming together for our country, for me, as opposed and instead of just the game itself. Because I put the games on, and it's more background noise than anything else. So I agree that they should have endings like someone wins, and they need to go to like penalty kicks earlier on in the competition. I know they do them now, like now in this round, the round of 32 or 64, or whatever it is. I know they do penalty kicks now, but they should have it always be that way. Why we got in a tie?
Steve, what were the rule changes in hockey that you mentioned? What would they change to add more goals or to make it more offensive?
I don't have the answer to that. You're gonna have to edit that one out.
Oh man,
That's a very good question, and I don't feel confident enough to
No,
I
it's
know
all
that
good.
there-
It's all good. I think we'll leave this in there because it's funny.
yeah, we came prepared. We came prepared, guys.
Yeah,
Look at
I
us.
think this is literally the cold open. That's what the cold open is right there. And then
Well,
we
Yeah,
cut
no,
it out of the
yeah, it is.
episode.
Yeah.
Well, here's a real quick question before we move on. One word answer. Would you be more interested in watching the World Cup, or would you be more interested in watching the WBC? Because it's pretty much the same thing, just a different sport.
I mean, I'm taking WBC every single time because I'm a baseball
Yeah.
fan, and it's the same exact experience. You get to experience like your country playing everyone else. So yeah,
Yeah.
baseball, easy.
Yeah, baseball. Yeah, it's got. I mean, yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
come on.
I don't even. It's not. It's not. I don't think it's a bandwagon thing. I think. It's just. It's funny because I don't think soccer. It's just in America, soccer's really not the popular sport. We're like the only country where it isn't super popular. So
We have too many sports.
We have too many sports. Yeah, or we have enough sports. I wouldn't say we
I
have too many
guess.
sports.
Yeah, I mean we do because I mean we've tried they've implement. I mean we have MLS. We have I know Los Angeles has two soccer stadiums. Two soccer stadiums.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Huh,
Yeah, there's
how
two
about that?
different ones. We have two teams. I know, you know what I mean? Like we've tried to grow the sport. And LA, I think LA actually kind of started it when David Beckham came over here, if I'm not like crazy. He was the first big European star to come here. Granted, I think he was obviously in the later stages of his career. I think he was like 33, 34 years old or whatever. But we've done things in this country to try and grow the sport. So when we have events like the World Cup, um, that are here stateside, it is an exciting thing for people and people can get into it. And I think soccer has its own fans anyway, because there are, like you said, you didn't play. I know plenty of kids that played that just love soccer
Yeah.
now as adults too. So I don't know. It's difficult, I think, because like we've talked about, it's a lack of action for us, and we like action. There are too many choices of sports. And it's just it is advanced cardio, I feel like sometimes.
Well, I
It is
mean, look at tennis. Tennis is a wildly popular sport around the world.
yeah.
People don't really care about it in the U.S. Like they only care about it when someone's good in the U.S. And for the last 20 years, there has not been a male
Yeah.
tennis person who has like been in the top like 4 or 5. It's been international, and so like we as dumb Americans just stopped caring about tennis at that point. And women's tennis is actually way better. But now like Serena's gone, like it's back
Yeah.
to nobody really cares anymore because we're Americans and we just care about ourselves.
Ay.
Me.
Speaking of, I don't know. That's kind of funny to think about, though. I never really thought about it in that kind of perspective, but yeah, we do only care about ourselves, I guess. Well, I will go. Speaking of caring about ourselves, I am kind of solo in this, so this is going to be my kind of thing, and then I'll let Steve and Jeff kind of berate me about it. And it'll be fun. It'll be a fun little thing because I am not a huge fan of probably the best player in the world or best player ever, and I should be taking advantage of watching him, especially since he plays in my city. But I'm not a huge fan of Shohei Ohtani, the man. And I want to be very clear. The player, okay, I've seen him hit bombs in person. I've seen him pitch in person. I know what he is as an athlete. I've seen it happen. So I respect that part of it. I just think he is a phony person. And I think that I, I'll talk about you could talk about the gambling thing and how I think that it was actually him and all this stuff. And his interpreter just gets thrown under the bus for him. And it kind of makes sense because who wants the best player ever to get caught up in this kind of controversy? Major League Baseball doesn't need that, obviously. So if you have that opportunity to do that, throw someone under the bus, you're going to do it, and no one cares about the interpreter because we only care about ourselves as Americans, apparently. And also this whole
Shohei
like real
American?
estate. No, we as Americans only care about ourselves. I'm saying I only care.
Gotcha.
I'm making fun of myself. But and then the whole real estate thing with this like shady deal with a realist, I just feel like he gets himself involved in shady things and could get away with it. And I just feel like he's a shady person. And that is my little Shohei Ohtani corner. I've never met him in person, obviously. I just see the things, little things on the outside, the periphery of things. I just kind of I don't look at him always as the athlete. I kind of look at him as the person. And honestly, I will say this because as a Mets fan, I remember Jose Reyes, like loving him as a player, but then he pushed his wife into like into a glass. They were on vacation or wherever. He pushed his wife, and it was domestic violence, and I couldn't root for him anymore. Couldn't do it. I saw the person that he was. You could be a great player, but the person that you are to me becomes important when for in Jose Reyes' situation because he's a Met and you love the players. In Shohei position for me I'm looking at the person that he is and I just don't like the person that he is and I have difficulty separating how great he is as a player and the kind of person that I believe that he is. So you guys can come at me, one of you first. I don't care.
I think
Just
it's a
do it.
wild take. It's wild. You see him after games. He like cleans up the dugout. He's always like bringing water to his teammates. He's so respectful towards the opponents. He's always like, you know, get a little tap on the ass, slapping him, handshake, good game, stuff like that. He does all that like little league sportsmanship type shit that you know, guys do. So yeah, maybe he's not a perfect person, and none of us are, but I like the guy. I think he's cool. He's a fucking brick shit house of a person. Hits nukes. That's all I want.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. Like he's not. If you get involved in some shady gambling shit or something else, I don't really give a shit. He's not hurting anybody. He's not hitting anybody. He's just the best baseball player to ever play the game. Well, I'm not going to go that far.
I went to jail, but
Yeah. Okay, but he that was his choice too. His interpreter was like, "Yeah, I did it. That was me."
True.
so
True.
I'll ask you this, and I respect both of your opinions on this. I have me and Jeff are probably on the same side here. Is Barry Bonds the best baseball player that you've ever seen?
I mean, yeah, I've seen him in person, so yeah, probably like
And he is
yeah. No, Griffey is the best. Griffey,
he's an
hands down.
asshole, right?
Yeah.
Bonds is an asshole.
Is Floyd Mayweather the best boxer that you've ever seen in our generation? Because we weren't really around for Muhammad Ali.
You probably have to say yes to that.
I would say yes, but like I honestly can't sit here and say I know boxing well enough to be like yes for sure.
But he also beat his girlfriend.
Well, yeah, it's true.
But that doesn't make him not the fucking best player or the best boxer on the planet because he did shitty stuff in his personal life.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Subject.
It is tough. And I'm just saying, like, my view of it is like, I also look at the person that he is and I can like kind of set the athletic stuff aside and realize like, okay, he may be great on the field and he may do certain things that help my team win or like, but it does matter who you are as a person because you do end at the end of the day, you are looked up to and people idolize people and people follow people. Particularly now, there's a lot more social media influence and a lot more influence in celebrity. Like, I mean, our president was a celebrity. You know what I mean? Like we had someone run for mayor in Los Angeles that was a celebrity. So we put a lot of emphasis on celebrity and who these people are. And I feel like it just in today's culture, maybe that's why I'm in that corner, is looking at like who these people actually are, outside of what they can do athletically and how great they are. And just real quick, because we should move on. Uh, but I think the stuff you were talking about, Jeff, with Shohei and the cleaning up and the water sharing and all that's a culture thing.
It is. Yeah,
It is a
absolutely.
very big culture
Yep.
thing.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true.
also a cultural thing in Asian countries, gambling.
Gambling. It is. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Um,
No.
so that being said, yes, it is. There's lots of culture differences in sports, and that's something that we're always going to come across in every sport. Outside of a few, I think mostly like football is mostly American gentlemen playing that sport. But I think almost every other sport has, like, basketball is very diverse. Obviously, hockey is very diverse. Baseball very diverse. I feel like football might be on like the tail end of all that stuff. They do have some players from like Australia and like Africa and stuff like that. But I think, um, with that being said, the culture thing in sports is always going to be a thing.
I think the Phillies missed a diversity memo for baseball.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not getting into that. But what I will get into is, I think, the heart and soul of what this podcast is going to inevitably be about is getting back up. And I think that's important, that we talk about. It doesn't, it could be, there are going to be personal stories, there's going to be sports stories, there could be even non-sports stories, I think could work. I mean, because our stories may not be sports stories. But getting back up, times when times are tough, and either ourselves or an athlete that we choose or a person that we choose that showed what you could do when your back is against the wall and you need to kind of get up and fight for yourself and find out the person that you can become from the adversity you're going through. So this is our key little thing that we're going to talk about, is our Getting Back Up series. I think that whoever wants to go first, I'm not gonna throw it to anybody for this. I think whoever wants to go first here, you guys can kind of pick what you want to say, or who you want to talk about. But if you want me to throw it to like you first, Jeff, I'll do that. Steve, you want to go first? It's up to you guys, and then I'll obviously wrap it up.
Let's throw it over to Steve there. You
Yeah,
ready?
that's fine. I have something that I've been wanting to talk about um, from a getting back up position. The Vegas I live in Vegas. We haven't talked about that yet, but I live in Vegas. We have the Vegas Golden Knights. We had a team that was birthed basically in 2018, and it was kind of around like that Vegas shooting where 58 people were killed, and so like it was our first sport. Like everybody in this city has rallied around this team. Hockey is really interesting because there's like no loyalty in hockey. Like the the Knights fired their coach with 8 games left in the season and then went to the finals. Like hockey is just a really weird sport when it comes to loyalty and things like that. And so we have 3 players left from what they call the misfits. And so that was the very first team that did go to the finals that year. And so there's a guy, his name is Braden McNabb. So 2 weeks ago during the finals, he took an 87-mile-an-hour frozen puck slap shot in the face during game 2 of the finals.
Wow.
He left the game and had to have 25 to 30 stitches put in across his nose and his face. 2 days later, he returned for game 3 at home in Vegas. Not only did he play, but he logged 35 minutes and 47 seconds of ice time in what ended up being a 2 OT dramatic 5-4 win. For a comparison, he actually averages 20 minutes a game during the season. So he came back, shared like he skated double the time with a broken face from an 87-mile-an-hour puck to the face, like right here to the face. Like if I could show you the video, it's crazy. I could barely breathe because of allergies, and this guy's like skating during something like that. and playing double the amount of time. And so the Knights didn't win the series. They lost the finals. It is what it is. They weren't the better team. But I just think that to be able to take that sort of punishment and just get right back up and go do your job. When I think about NBA players having to be like helped off the floor whenever they get like a finger like to their chest or an elbow or something like that, it's wild. Hockey players are just built different. And so I
Yeah.
thought that was just like a getting back up, like an 87-mile-an-hour puck to the face. And he showed up the next day with like a grill, like a catcher's grill, basically. But he played. He's like, no, that's not going to change what I'm doing. I'm here to win the finals.
It's awesome.
He players
Yeah,
in the definition of tough.
But yeah, no, there's no question they're the toughest athletes that exist. Yeah, they'll get their teeth knocked out and then just get right back in the ice and start fucking shooting pucks all over the place again.
They don't even care about teeth.
No, yeah, that's true. Yeah, probably half of them just take them out anyway, just to like make themselves look tough. I don't need these fucking teeth.
It's always the old hockey players. They're like, "Do you still have all your teeth?" You see like those videos and old hockey players. They're being asked like, "Do you still have all your teeth?" And they're just like,
Yeah.
"They have nothing."
That's awesome.
Hop on that, Jeff. What do you got for us today?
So I'm hoping I'm not coming with a little too much chalk with mine here, considering the World Cup and everything going on right now. The big media, I'm just thinking about this right now. Big media might have grabbed this story and been running with it. I don't know. I haven't been following the World Cup that much. I just watched some games. But anyway, with that said, I'm going to go with Lionel Messi, because I wanted to stick on the theme of World Cup. It's going on right now. So I wanted to have Lionel Messi be my getting back up athlete. And that's because I don't know if you guys have seen this, but when he was a kid, like when he was like 10 years old, he was really good at playing soccer. And then he just stopped growing. He was like 4'4" tall at 11 years old. And he had this, I forget what it's called, growth hormone deficiency, GHD. It's some weird condition that it affects your pituitary gland and it keeps you from growing. So this kid it's pure just grit and guts, just kept grinding it out, doing whatever he needed to do through like getting injections and everything to help get past this disease that he has. The cost was around $900 per injection. He doesn't come from a huge, wealthy family or anything like that. So it was very straining on the family. But as he just kept pushing, did everything he needed to do. And now you guys see that Lionel Messi I don't think this is a hot take at all to say that he's probably the greatest soccer player to ever play the game. And if not ever, he is this generation's without a doubt. Like, I think he has, especially in this World Cup itself, he has 6 goals in 3 games, I think it is. So I think he has now completely separated himself from the other guy. I can't remember his name. Help me out. The good-looking soccer player, Ronaldo. There we go. See, I've already forgotten his name. Messi's played so well, come back so far that I don't even remember Ronaldo's name. I forgot it again.
I was going to say Mbappe. He has 2 goals per game too.
Mbappe? Oh, does he really?
Yeah.
Nice.
The first soccer player I ever heard of was Pele.
Yeah,
and
Pele was the first soccer player.
My introduction to soccer.
Yep.
But yeah, I didn't know that about Messi. I think that he just stopped growing. I didn't know that was like a thing. That happened. Yeah. I mean, I knew obviously people had issue. There are little people, and I knew that was a thing. But I didn't know like that's what I'm saying. Like, is that a gene? I mean, we don't have to discuss this, but to me, it brings up a whole lot of questions about like that sort of like what was going on, how he was able to get these injections, like what these injections actually were that's restarted it. Like it actually opens up a whole book of like questions I have, because this stuff kind of interests me, medical stuff, particularly me going through what I'm going through. So I'm always interested in medical stuff. So it's interesting to me that he went through that. He
would actually, I didn't cover this, but he injected himself for a little while too, to help like cover the costs. He would just somehow procure this medication that he would take, and he would inject himself in his own legs every night. And this is what helped. Like, he would have never reached 4'7" if he didn't have this medical intervention, and he would have never. But like, you're not a professional athlete at 4'7" unless you're riding a horse.
He definitely couldn't have. He definitely couldn't have played baseball.
Definitely not baseball. That strike zone
No.
would be a nightmare.
They were
a
would be-
gimmicky baseball game you could play. Just out of St. Louis.
You're not
That's actually a
allowed to
great.
protect yourself in baseball.
Yeah.
It's baseball. It's actually a great lead into my getting back up story. Because mine is about baseball, and it's not a current. It's not even a person. It's a team. And I was thinking about this. And it made me think of this because of the position the Mets are actually in right now. And I'm not saying that this season and this team is the same. But for getting back up, I do recent history I guess 11 years ago isn't that recent anymore. But the 2015 Mets are my getting back up story. That was a team that wasn't supposed to go anywhere that year at all. It wasn't supposed to go anywhere for a while. And I think the Mets had conceded that. Like, we're going to try and build around this rotation, and we're going to try and lead this team into the future, which still hasn't happened. But that's unfortunate. But what happened was a trade deadline. You saw a guy, Wilmer Flores, I think he got traded in the middle of a game, and crying on the field, showing
Right.
emotion, which is what this is all about, is emotion in sports. And I really don't recall any other time I saw an athlete cry on the field and be emotional on the field. Usually, I feel like he kind of changed the way people can look at athletes in that vulnerable moment. That way, because it wasn't a championship moment. He wasn't crying over a championship. He was crying because he loved the team. He basically been raised in the organization. It ended up that he doesn't get traded. And that moment turns into this catapulting moment for the team, particularly after they traded for Yoenis Cespedes, and he hit 17 homers and had 54 RBIs in, I don't know, like a half a season with the Mets, which was the big part of it. But I think the emotion that was brought forward by Wilmer Flores in that moment, allowing himself to be seen by the fans and by his teammates, like how much love he had. And I think that was their getting up moment. Regardless of how Cespedes came in and lit the world on fire, I think the dugout changed. I think the culture and the chemistry changed when they saw how much love Flores had for the team. And I think that was what the initial catapult of getting them back up that season and leading them to like a pretty cool run that they didn't finish, but it was still pretty cool. And that's my getting back up story. We
That's a
could
good one.
open that for discussion if you want, but I think that we've kind of covered everything at this point that we wanted to get covered. I think that for a pilot episode, I'm pretty stoked that we got through it, and I feel pretty good. And it was a lot of fun talking with you guys, and in this space. If you guys have any final thoughts you want to throw out there, go to you, Steve, first, since we started with Jeff earlier. We'll end with Steve with his final thought. We'll go to Jeff, and then I won't have a final thought. I'm just going to say bye.
Wilmer Flores was drafted by the Mets at 16 years old, I think, out of Venezuela. And so only thing that he knew was the Mets and Friends, because that's how he learned English, by watching the show Friends. And I still remember that was one of the coolest things that I saw from that season and that was a great season. It didn't end the way that, of course, we wanted it to, but him crying on the field, and the guy that they were going to trade for was terrible. Like, it was just so much better to keep him anyway.
Yeah.
But I was really excited, even though, like, once we traded him, that he still had a long career. And I think he's probably, like, if we're going to do a Mount Rushmore type of thing, he's not a top 4 Met, but he's probably somebody that Mets fans, you can't say anything bad about him whatsoever. There's nothing you could say that would be bad.
I just want to thank the Mets for not actually going through that trade, because that left Zach Wheeler on the roster and allowed us to snatch him up a couple years later. So that's my final thoughts.
True.
Thanks, Andy Alderson. Appreciate it.
That's a great. I totally had forgotten that he was a part of that trade, because he was. It was him and Wilmer Flores for Carlos Gomez and someone else.
Yeah, the Brewers.
It might have just been Gomez, because I don't even think that Wheeler wasn't even up yet. Wheeler was still like
Oh, was
The
he
Mets had
not?
just gotten him. No, because the Mets had really just he made his debut in 2016, I think. I
Okay.
might be completely wrong, but I don't
Okay.
remember
was
him in that rotation.
no.
I
That
don't either.
that rotation's funny too. Like, yeah, I don't. He wasn't a part of that 2015 team. And so it's kind of wild because you can see pictures like Bartolo Colon was our worst pitcher from that era, and he was like the sixth man. That fucking team of pitchers was insane to not win a championship. It's kind of like the 2014 Tigers where they just had like this insane pitching staff that
2011 Phillies.
they all went on, but they all went on to win somewhere else, and so
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy how that stuff happens. But yeah, Wilmer Flores, man, it's if I saw him out somewhere, I'd buy him a drink.
Nice.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our first episode. We're pretty excited to bring this to you. Until next time, guys, have a great night and enjoy sports. And
That was
don't
awesome,
forget to
boys.
be emotional. You guys have a good one. Take care.
Love
Get
you.
back up.